page 3. Page 3.
Yes, we are on page 3.
Yeah, great. Page 3. Yeah. Okay. Well, so to continue with this topic, as you can see here, the authors of this book, Language Assessment for Classroom Teachers, they state that when you want to prepare, for example, a test, you need to include many assessment tasks, because one single assessment is not indicative of what the student really knows, So it's not enough. It's insufficient for providing consistent scores, and meaningful and generalizable interpretations. So performance may not be enough, and assessment tasks may not sample the different tasks in the target language U or TLU domain, domain. Great. Okay, so in other words, if you want to have an assessment that you can call consistent, which results can be, which interpretations can be, whose interpretations mean are generalizable and meaningful, and the scores are consistent with what students really know, then you need to include many assessment tasks. The more, the better. More, the better. Great. Now, in the following topic, we have creating language assessment tasks. Now, in the book, here you can learn how to create multiple assessment tasks of the same ability. So that is chapter, let me see what chapter is, 10. That's chapter 10. No, chapter 9, creating language assessment tasks. Yeah. Okay, so you might need to refer back to this chapter in the book. Okay, so and it's also chapter 10, combining assessment tasks to make classroom-based assessments. But here we have, first we have this. What is an assessment task type? Answer the 2 questions for you to reflect on the assessment tasks. Yeah. So what is an assessment task type? Assessment task type. You can refer to the vocabulary on the last page of the book, the appendix, or yes,
I have that
the glossary.
An assessment task type
Please.
Is defined by the activities and procedures, task characteristics, and a scoring method in an assessment task template.
Yes. So in other words, multiple assessment tasks that are created by changing some of the task characteristics of the same assessment task template belong to the same assessment task type. So in other words, it's like you have one, es como tener un modelo, a particular type, particular task type. Okay, whose characteristics are the task characteristics, scoring method. Okay, and so it's something particular, that you can decide to apply in with a different class, with a different group, but because you have this particular type, you can create one that is very similar, no? By changing, the only thing you have to do is changing some of the task characteristics, no? Of the same assessment task template. Great. Now, what about this definition, model task, no? What is a model task? Model assessment task.
Well, I have that a model assessment task is an assessment task created following the specifications in an assessment task template.
Okay, great. And this one serves as the basis for creating additional assessment tasks. No? So by creating one model, in the future, you can create additional assessment tasks. No? So what more information about this is on page 112. No? If you want to deepen in the knowledge of this. No? Great. So that is model assessment task. Okay, and here's a question for you to reflect on. No? You can use the concepts in chapter 10, to answer this. To which extent does the model assessment task help you create multiple assessment tasks? No? The model assessment tasks help you create multiple assessment tasks. Please think about this. We have the concept of multiple assessment tasks in chapter 10, no? In combining assessment tasks. Combining assessment tasks to make classroom-based assessments. We have also the definition of blueprint there.
So do we need to think about how a model assessment task help us creating multiple assessments?
Can help you create, exactly.
Well,
help
as
you
you
create
said,
multiple assessments.
if we understand that the model assessment task is a base, for more assessment task, it could help us to don't lose time because
Exactly.
because we have a base, we have a model to create more tasks. So I think that it could help us to don't spend a lot of time.
Exactly, to save time. Yes. Yes. What? So in terms of saving you time is really good. No? Practical. No? Practical. You don't want to sit hours over your weekend creating a new complete assessment, no, for a class when you already have the model assessment task. So by changing some task characteristics, you create multiple assessments. No? So it can be of great help for you. Great. So information about this is on chapter 9, no? Creating language assessment tasks. Great. Okay, so now I'd like to have someone please read this passage here, this paragraph. Once you have read the theory.
Let's see.
Can anybody please read this? Thank you.
Sure. Once that you have read the theory and as a way to illustrate how to develop multiple assessment tasks of the same ability, I invite you to review and analyze the examples in the textbook, Language Assessment for Classroom Teachers. You will find, for examples that include a setting, the task characteristics, for the assessment task template, the recording method, and 3 example tasks.
Yeah, so well, that's for you to do in your free time, no, or over this period of time from today to our next class on Thursday. The examples are on page 114, 15, examples of that include a setting, the task characteristics, and the different assessment tasks that are created, no, from the same task template. Great, so that can be very, very useful. Okay, great. Now, let's skip the next section and go to blueprints, no? Blueprints. So blueprint, the concept of blueprint is introduced in chapter 10, no? Chapter 10. So as a reference, you might want to go, you might want to go back and look back at the book, chapter 10, beginning on page 132. Which you already have. Well, I mean, you have a PDF, no? Great. So what is a blueprint? What do you understand by the word blueprint? What is a blueprint? Yes, please.
A blueprint, it is a detailed plan that specifies the content and format of an assessment and the procedures and instructions for administrating an assessment.
Yes. Thank you very much. Yeah. So in other words, it's like those test specifications, no? Specs, no? Specs. That students need to see and need to understand on the test, no? On the test. Obviously, you know, the clearer the specifications are, the instructions are, the easier it would be for the students to understand what exactly it is that they have to do, no? What to do. In other, well, so the blueprint will show, as you can read in the third line, it will show what the test will look like, no? Yeah, so the authors suggest that test specifications can be seen as blueprint, no? As the test blueprint, which include skills, abilities that are assessed, description of the content, task item types, methods such as, for example, multiple choice, or close, or matching, or fill in the blanks, etc. Tasks such as written essay, reading a short passage, skills to be included, specific procedures that are to be used to score the test, and also an explanation of how the test results will be reported to students. So in other words, it's all this information. Digamos que it's some kind of administrative also, no? Information that you need to have, no? And also to hand out to students, no? Students also need to know exactly when, how, what they have to do, okay, and how you're going to grade them, and how you're going to report the results and everything, no? So it's como la guía completa, no? What the test is, no? And contains, and will inform, no? To students and you. Great. Okay, so now I don't know how much time we have, but if we have more than 10 minutes, I'd like you to play this video about blueprint. No, the information will help you better understand what an assessment blueprint is, and then we can reflect on the importance of an assessment blueprint for developing assessment tasks.
Let me try if now it works. If the video has sound.
Maybe you can send the link.
Okay, now it's in the chat box on Zoom. I will share it on what. Okay.
educationalresearchtechniques.com. In this video, we're going to take a look at the test blueprint.
Can you hear it?
Yes, we can. I can hear.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Darren Thomas, and I am the Director of educationalresearchtechniques.com. In this video, we're going to take a look at the test blueprint and how this mechanism for organizing your assessments and exams can be used to help your students. So let's take a look first at the problem. We all know as educators the difficulty of having to create tests, exams, assessment, even assignments, if you will. You have to keep in mind, okay, what material did I cover? Okay, how do I assess the students? And what can I do to reach them at different levels of thinking? I'm of course assuming that you're familiar with Bloom's taxonomy and the ideas of different levels of thinking, from memorization all the way up to creation. As an instructor, when you're developing assessment, you want to make sure that you are able to assess their understanding at different levels. Often memorization is not enough. They have to be able to go beyond that to synthesizing and applying, and also even at times to evaluating and creating, in order for you to be for sure that they're able to not only know the knowledge, but to do something with the knowledge. And so this is our problem. This is one of our primary challenges, in addition to just presenting material to students, is that we have to make sure that we are able to assess, to check the students' understanding and their ability to not only repeat the knowledge, but also to use the knowledge. And so the solution for this is the test blueprint. And to put it simply, the test blueprint does basically two things. It provides a map of the objectives that are assessed. So again, I'm assuming something that you're also familiar with objectives, which essentially are the things that the students will do to provide evidence of their understanding. Also, for our third bullet here, the test blueprint provides a map of the different levels of learning that each question addresses. So this blueprint provides you with a lot of information. You have an idea of the objectives you're trying to assess, as well as the different levels of Bloom's taxonomy at which you are trying to assess the objectives. Now, if this sounds somewhat abstract, don't worry. We have an example right here for you. Now, on this page is an actual test blueprint. Off here to your left, you have the objectives right here. These are the objectives that you, as the instructor, these are the things that the students are going to do. So this particular test blueprint is an example from like a teacher education class. And so here in this test blueprint, the students need to develop an aim from the needs assessment. So I have them do some evaluation, formative evaluation type things. They have to develop goals and develop standards and objectives. These are all things that the students needed to do, and that the instructor provided guidance and instruction for in order for them to achieve it. So off to the left, you have the objectives. So in our example here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 objectives. that we are trying to make sure are incorporated into either an assignment or more commonly into a test or an exam, if you will. Now, over here, from this right-hand side all the way over, we have some information on the different levels of Bloom's taxonomy, as well as the type of questions that are being used. So at the top here, I have knowledge, comprehension, and application. These are 3 different levels that are found in Bloom's taxonomy. Okay, so I'm not assessing every level. I'm just assessing 3 of the 6 or 7 that are in Bloom's taxonomy. Now, underneath that, we have like a 1TF, a 1MC, a 1LE. Again, these are just examples, but 1TF, if you look at the key at the bottom, stands for true-false question. In other words, I have one true or false question about developing aims for a needs assessment. Again, this is an example. I have one multiple choice question that is at the comprehension level, and I have one long essay question that is at the application level. That is how it works there. And then it goes on from there. And so, for example, for developing goals, I have one true or false question. That's the knowledge-based level of Bloom's taxonomy. 3 multiple choice, 2 restricted answer, which is a form of fill in the blank, I believe, or something along, short answer, excuse me, right there. And then it goes on from there. Now, from here, I also can figure out how many questions I have for each level. So, for knowledge, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 here, 5, 6. So I have a total 6 questions that deal with knowledge level of Bloom's taxonomy. In the middle, 8. And of course, here for application level, I have 6 questions that deal with application. Very, very comprehensive what is happening here. So that's what's happening along the bottom here. Right here, this level right here. And then over here to the far right, I even know how many questions I have for each objective. So for example, I have 1, 2, 3 questions that deal with my first objective, 5 questions that deal with my second objective, etc. And of course, we even have the percentages that each questions, that each level of Bloom's taxonomy is addressed. And also we have the percentages here for each objective. So 15% of the questions address the first objective, if you will. And over here, 30% of the questions deal with the knowledge level of Bloom's taxonomy. This is very, very comprehensive. Very, very just makes it clear what you're trying to do. And then at the bottom here, I have one more piece of information. I even have the percentages of each question. So 30% of all of my questions are true and false. 40% are multiple choice, etc. So by creating a test blueprint, you really get a deep understanding of what exactly your exam is trying to do. For those of you who are teaching at the K-12 level, this is very, very powerful because you can explain to administrators, even parents, how your exams are set up and what exactly you are trying to do during your exam. Very, very powerful. Hard to argue with this kind of preparation and this kind of clarity in terms of developing your assessment. Much more powerful than waiting till the night before and scrambling to pull something together for the exam the next day. Now, this is just a brief summary of what I've already said. The test blueprint, the columns provide you information about the objectives and also about Bloom's taxonomy and even some mathematical stuff, if you will. And the rows explain to you the actual objective and also the amount or the proportion of each level of Bloom's taxonomy, as well as the proportion of how much each objective is represented in the exam. It's really, really a beautiful tool that is especially valuable when you're first trying to get out there and make assessment. So in this video, we took a look at the test blueprint, which is a very powerful tool to help you to organize your exams. It gives you 2 clear advantages. 1, it helps you to determine what is going to be on the exam in terms of the objectives, like what you're trying to assess. 2, it also gives you an idea of how you're going to do it by sharing with you how you're going to try to represent different levels of understanding, as well as the proportions of the representation of how much time you're going to spend on one objective, how much time you're going to spend at different levels of Bloom's taxonomy, and even the weight or the proportion of different types of questions. A very, very valuable tool for educators who are trying to look for ways to clarify what they are doing with their assessment. So, my name is Darren Thomas, and this is educationalresearchtechniques.com. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing the video. Okay. Yeah. So, well, I think it was very useful. I think it was. I don't know if it was very clear, because it's only an example, and it talks about organizing a quiz, no, but I mean a test. But I don't know if it was in maybe 8 minutes. It's very short time to explain all the process behind. But I think it was a very clear description. Maybe not enough, not sufficient for. Because maybe you would like to see other elements, understand other things, but I think it's a very good video. No? So my conclusion is that in order for you to create an assessment, you need to take into consideration the objectives that you have. No? That's the first thing, and then that students are able to cope with the different levels of ability, no? And also that not only they understand the rules or the vocabulary, but also that they can comprehend and that they can apply this. No? So that gives you a clear idea that, and also this goes under the principle of validity, no, and authenticity, no. I mean, and meaningfulness. No? I mean, you want your students to use something that it's going to happen in real life, no? And that is indicative of their ability, no? Their real ability to use the language. So I don't know. What do you think? What do you guys think? Have you found this useful? Has it clarified something? Maybe, well, after watching this video, I'm sure that you would like to watch other videos related that can explain more in depth what are the benefits of using blueprints and different maybe formats now of blueprints. Great, but I'd like to hear from you guys. What do you think? Please, and anybody?
Well, in my opinion, Prof, I think for us, we professors, I think it is important understand very well this information about blueprint, because as we watched in the video, it provide us a kind of guide about what we are going to do, or what are trying to assess, as the man said in the video. It provides information, relevant information about the activities that we are proposing or that we have in the test, and what is the objective of these activities.
Yes.
So I think that is really, for me, it's important to try to understand this information about blueprint.
Great, thank you. I'm glad you are of that you have that view, not that you hold that view. Yes, not because, well, if you think about it in terms of usefulness, no? Not only do you want your students to understand the instructions and everything, but you also want to have a test that is representative and indicative of their real level of ability, and you want to give them tasks that are useful, and also important. You want to give them a variety of tasks, no? For example, true or false, multiple choice, matching, fill in the blanks, essays, etc. No? So variety, because you want to make sure that students really know what they are supposed to know. No? And so I think with this, I'm sure that many other maybe doubts or maybe concepts were clarified and exemplified with this video. No? With this video, of course, I encourage you to watch related videos, no? So you can deepen in the learning and understanding of blueprints. So, but as you can see, a blueprint is like having the manual. No? It's like when you buy a new device or a new cell phone, right? And you have the manual. So the manual tells you exactly what to do to any purpose that you want to use the phone for. So it should be clear, consistent, should be practical, easy to use, easy to understand. Great. Now, I would like to if we can go back to the document, please. I would like to point out a couple of things here.
Okay.
Great. Thank you very much. And can we go back? Can we go to page 4, please? Go back to page 4.
Okay. This one.
Exactly. No, we have to go before that. Let me see.
Okay, here.
Right after the video. Yeah. So there's a question here for you. No? It says, why do you think assessment blueprints or specifications can provide quality control for the development of assessments? No? Quality control.
Well,
Thank you.
I think that it provides a quality control to try to establish a right balance, I could say. For example, if we are professors and we are trying to assess the performer of our students in the 4 skills, the blueprint are going to help us to try to find the balance between among these 4 skills, because as we watched in the video, through a blueprint we can establish these, I don't know how to say, percentage.
Excuse me?
Porcentaje, I don't know how to say it in English.
Percentage. Percentage.
We can try to find a balance between the 4 skills.
Yeah, great. Yeah, great. Thank you very much. No, yeah, that is one aspect. No? When we say quality control, what it means is that as you develop more assessments, the next assessment is better, and the next is better. Okay, better than the last one. No, okay. Eso se refiere quality control, and we as teachers, no, we need to know that we are improving. No, exactly. Everybody wants to improve in what they do, and so basically, a blueprint can be a good indicator of whether you are doing the right thing. No? And one way is, for example, to compare the content that you assessed, for example, the questions, the content that you assessed, versus the characteristics of the assessment tasks with the learning objectives. No? So you have to contrast on Okay, you have the objectives, because everything starts with the objectives, with the with the learning objectives, and then you contrast, you know? Yeah, because you have everything in perfect order, so you check, no? And so if you find that something was not covered, that you didn't cover one objective, then maybe the next time you can include that, you know? And so practice makes perfect, no? So next time your assessments will be more thorough, no? Serán más completos, más yeah, and better and more accurate and everything. That's one. Another one is that the assessment tasks. Another way to keep to maintain quality control is to use the blueprint to compare the assessment tasks that are included in different forms of the assessment. No, so you can always go back and check and analyze and make sure that it's serving the purpose that you originally went for, no? Or the intended objectives. Great. And so can we continue here, and can I have someone, please, can anybody read this section that says, now that you have some ideas about assessment, okay, and please read that passage and the next, no, this paragraph and the next. Thank you very much, please.
Okay, so now that you have some useful ideas about an assessment blueprint, expand your knowledge by reading additional information about what a blueprint is in the textbook Language for Classroom Teachers. Pay special attention to the assessment specifications, procedures, and instructions for the whole assessment and assessment task template. The next one, right?
Yes, please.
Okay. In addition to what we have studied so far, Bachman and Dadmonk provide some examples that can help on how to use a blueprint to guide assessment development. They claim that an assessment developed by a single teacher can contain multiple assessment tasks. An assessment developed by a group of teachers or by different teachers can be possible because of the collaboration of several teachers that teach different classes at the same level. In relation to similar assessments that are to be given at different times, the same blueprint can be used for all of the assessments that are necessary to be applied.
And the last part, because we okay. The last one. Please.
Okay, Bachman and Dadmonk state the following question. How can you use a blueprint to maintain quality control? And in order to find the answer to this important question, study the information provided in the textbook, Language Assessment for Classroom Teachers. Now that you have focused on blueprints, what have you learned about their use for creating language assessment tasks?
Okay, thank you very much. Well, in regard with the question about quality control, we already answered the question, no? And so what we have here